right. Any of these that would be interested in taking a look at?
I was curious about the comeback one. Doesn't look like it has much list on it. I just thought it'd be an interesting one to talk about.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let's blow it up a little bit. So this is a comeback tracking form. Customer license, make, model, tech, current date, mileage, previous date, previous mileage. Obviously, it's a comeback. Customer repair order, previous repair order, who's the advisor. Concerns since the last repair, actual, I like concern better, but actual concern found. Caused by, is it parts, lack of service operating procedures, lack of information from customer, service advisor, technician, or repair source, tool or equipment problem, or lack of corrective action taken. So that's interesting to pinpoint the cause of this comeback. I do like that to prevent it, from happening again. Additional corrective solutions. It says circle different part vendors, training, technician, service advisor, develop or purchase SOP, update vehicle repair information, new tools or equipment. So, it could be a defective part and you just circle part vendor. So again, we're kind of tracking why this concern is a comeback. Who's the original vendor, the part numbers, part original cost, replacement cost. Warranty claim information. This is great to have this right here. The vendor, claim amount, date submitted, parts, labor, towing, sublet, rental car, customer reimbursement, cost, shop out-of-pocket expenses, and losses for non-reimbursable claims. So obviously, this would not be one you'd be showing your customer, right? Look like more of the front of the house to fill this sheet out here.
Brian, I missed the very first part. I'm sorry, I couldn't get off a call fast enough.
Oh, no problem.
Is this all in the library?
This is in your action flow charts, which you have access through Dropbox, which you can access through the library as well, but you got a link. And if you
that was like the $4.95 or something. Gary sold us one summer.
Yes.
3 years ago. Okay.
Yes, sir. Action flow charts, yeah. And there's just shy of 50 of these in there. This is just a handful of them. So, okay. And this one, of course, is the comeback tracking form, Jim. And so, you have a chance to get a look at that there. And then we got down here costs, shop out-of-pocket expenses and losses for non-reimbursable claim, any additional parts, additional labor, towing, sublet, rental car, lost shop labor, and miscellaneous. And then it says use the amounts in each group to arrive at a total cost for warranty reimbursement and non-reimbursable costs. Using this information narrows down problem areas in your business and provides you with valuable supporting documentation. Possible solutions available. New part supplier or maybe a different brand part. New information sources, Mitchell or All Data, etc. Using a hotline service. Technician and service advisor training through parts vendors, trade schools, and so forth. Local automotive repair chapters. The diagnostic network or SOPs. Retain these sheets for future information to find solutions and for evaluation of technician performance during employee evaluations. So let's discuss this one for a little while. Fred, you wanted to look at it. What do you think?
I like the thoroughness of this one.
Yeah.
I have all this. I have it all, but it's not in one form.
Okay.
In different places. So, I mean, I could consider putting them together more. That was my first comment about it.
Awesome.
And, the other thing I always think of when this stuff comes up is for what's the action I need to take, because I can get, I can get my employees to do most of this, but what they really don't do well is the corrective action stuff.
Yes.
And when I ask them about it, often it's not. It's just out of their world. I don't know how to put it. It's not that they're incapable, but there's not. It's too big of an idea for them. They're like, well, we got the car fixed. We've got the problem found. Well, what are you gonna do? And I'll ask them, what do we do in their system to make this fix this one for the next time? And they'll talk about it, but it's not something they initiate. I have to go do that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go, is it an SOP? Was this a part problem? Part problems they usually are on. They're like, I'm going to grumble about some brand or something. Dorman didn't come up at all in this conversation, right? But if it involves the change of a standard operating procedure, it's outside of their normal thinking.
Mm-hmm.
That's my job, is to go back and say, nope, you're going to fix. Let's have a conversation about what the SOP should be.
Excellent.
That's my comment on it. I like the one. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I like it. So Jerry, could you see your shop using something like this as a tool?
Yeah, I could. I think I like the part about the corrective action.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a parts vendor? Is it a training thing? Is it maybe a different brand that we're going to have to use, something like that? And I think that's where I see using it the most.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead.
How many people have the tech that worked on it do the comeback versus having a senior tech where they can doctor the results this way, that way, or the other way, versus having a senior tech who has no investment in covering CYA, check it over, find the problem, call the tech over and say, hey, you left this wheel bearing loose. That's why the tire fell off, ball joint loose. How many people are letting the original tech take a look at it versus your senior guy?
The original tech will probably not, it's unlikely that the original tech will be the first guy to look at it. Somebody else will figure it out first. That way I don't have to worry about them kind of glossing over what actually happened. They may end up repairing it, but they're probably not going to be the first guy to look at it. If I'm there, I will be hovering around, or one of my senior guys will be. There's three of us who can do it, so it gets spread around. But
smart. How about you? How about anybody else?
Well, we use that to find that we've got a rotor problem from one of our vendors. That kind of helped with that, to find out why we're getting so many vibrations. But we found that it was a specific style of rotor out of AutoZone that we couldn't use anymore. And that was, that's how we found that, because of all the, the returns.
Wow. All right. Would anybody else?
I'm pretty much like Fred said there. I'll have my senior guys go look at it, but the guy that actually worked on it is going to be in the mix with him. It's going to be a group effort to figure out what actually happened and why. If it was a human error, so be it. We fix it. Nobody gets shot. We're going to go forward from here and learn from what happened. But I agree with the fact that if a B-Tech missed a critical point, then the A-Tech needs to be involved also in a retest.
I like that too. Good. Anybody else like to share for Jim's question there? Anybody do it differently than having a senior tech look it over? Oh, okay, good. So we're all kind of agree on that one. Yes,
I haven't been. We've been spotty on this, but I'm wondering if anybody takes these. A lot of stores are small enough that everybody knows everything that comes in, but we're not always that way. We're big enough that there are guys that would barely know that one of these was happening. And so my question is anybody systematically taking these and bringing them up in a meeting and going, here's one, let's talk about it.
Anybody? Nobody.
Hey, Fred, are you referring to like, let's say you have a wheel come loose or you have a wheel you can't get off and the car's on the side of the road, customer can't get the wheel off? Are you referring to having a meeting and saying, look, we're going to either use a torque wrench or a torque stick from now on? That kind of a scenario?
That kind of scenario, yes. My experience was, and we haven't been good about doing it lately, but it really could be. It was interesting because if you got all 8 of us together, somebody had an idea that the 2 guys originally fixing the problem didn't think of. There's that, and then there's the awareness of, hey, is the group routinely skipping on our standards, or maybe some of the youngster doesn't know something. Did we miss training? And that's what comes up in those meetings. I mean, it's kind of big picture stuff.
I love the idea of that. For one, it gives you some good content for a meeting, right?
That's true.
If you're having regular meetings, and it's hey, look, this is important. We don't want to do this again. We want to learn from our mistakes. And I can tell you from my experience, I commonly did that. In fact, it was really, and I would tell the customer, whomever's vehicle we were servicing or having to handle a comeback on or work on, I would let them know. I said, hey, just so you know, this is going to be part of our next training meeting. I'm going to raise this up, and I want you to know that we're going to do everything we can to prevent this ever from happening again, not just to you, but any of our customers. It's very important that our standards are there, and that's one of the things we are going to do. And then I would hold meeting on it. I'd stick to my word, but that was almost pretty much part of the way I would resolve a bad deal.
Jim,
I like that you brought that
about the wheel can't get them off or they come off. That particular issue has been a long topic at our shop because we've had 3 wheel offs, and each one of them was expensive. And now you get beat in early. I don't care how you did it at your other shop. You will torque stick it and put it on the ground and torque wrench them every wheel every time. Just so I did a whole class on that.
Nice.
And I had a guy screw that up 2 years ago, and the total claim was close to $10,000.
Woo!
Wow.
Yeah. It just keeps coming up over and over. So that one just keeps getting beat into them. So anyway,
That's
I
tough.
also make my guys take them for a test drive, go down 2-3 miles, come back, retorque.
yeah.
That way, if they did try to skip something, they're going to drive it and they're going to hear it loose.
Right.
Or hopefully, if there's something that gets in between the wheel, corrosion or whatever breaks up and the wheel becomes loose and they get it torqued right the second time. I've had wheel offs, too many of them. One's too many, but I've had more than that.
Yeah, in nearly 40 years, we've done 3.
Wow.
And I remember every one of them like it was yesterday.
Crazy.
Yeah, from a front desk perspective, that's a phone call you don't want. And I love how Brian, brought up how you handle it at the front desk and how you handle it with the customer. Because basically, when you have a really bad problem with the customer, you have to resell them. And when you repair something well, and you handle it well, then you actually strengthen the relationship with the customer, which is kind of an odd, it feels odd, but it's like fighting with your spouse.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you have to go through that to get to this, right?
Exactly. And so it needs to be, from a front desk perspective, looked at as an opportunity for learning, because we all have to learn, but we can learn through real discomfort at the front desk, because oh my gosh, that is like something you never want comebacks. And then there's making sure that it is actually a comeback and it's not something the customer didn't tell you before, which is an entire conversation. So there's probably a whole nother SOP from the front desk that you could create in order for them to make sure. Because I've had that happen where people will say, well, blah, 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 and this has never happened before. And then when you start reminding them and asking them questions, turns out, oh yeah, 3 weeks ago, X and such. So they're not always comebacks.
Right.
Sometimes it's a whole new thing. So the front desk needs to know the difference. When I was a young service writer, I immediately assumed it's our fault and we did something. And I actually would get on the customer's side in a way. So the remaining neutral part in the service advising is very important, but it is real important to make sure. And then also find out, did you take the car anywhere else in the meantime?
Very true. Other shops, yep. Somebody else worked on it, or they got brand new tires. Now you just did a brake job. Now they got new tires. Like, wait a minute.